Welcome to Outdrive, folks. I'm your host, Cliff Callis, and each week I'm bringing you actionable marketing insights you can apply to reach, connect with, and convert rural American consumers. Outdrive is powered by Callis, a full-service advertising agency with a focus on marketing rural America. Callis offers a wide range of integrated marketing services, including website development, search engine marketing, social media, video, and digital. We develop strategic and creative campaigns to build your brand and your business, and you can learn more about us at ecallis.com. Now join me in the front seat as we head out on the road to success. Let's go. Hey folks, welcome to Outdrive. We've got another great story to share with you today about life and work in rural America. Just like every other sector of marketing, sports and athletics communications changes every day. In fact, it's changing every minute in one of the fastest paced careers in marketing. From calling out stats to real-time game day experiences to corralling coaches and players for post-game interviews, media relations managers in collegiate sports are always on the move, doing what they do. And that brings us to our guest today. Ryan Anderson is Assistant Athletic Director for Communications at the University of Central Missouri. A Midwesterner born and raised, Ryan puts his love of sports and communications into everything he does. Stay tuned to learn about what goes into collegiate media relations, what marketing, advertising, and public relations tools universities are using to tell their stories and attract crowds, and how social media is a challenge and an opportunity to keep fans informed and engaged. Welcome to Outdrive, Ryan.
Hey, Cliff, it's good. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to our conversation this afternoon. And like I said, I appreciate you having me on.
Well, I'm excited to get you on. I had your dad on a few days ago, and we'll talk about him a little bit, tell some stories maybe. Certainly want to talk about sports marketing and marketing communications for university, because I know that's your passion and that's your career. And I want to get into all that. And I know you pay attention to what's going on out there in the world. So anything cool that you see going on from a marketing standpoint, I want to get into all that. But let's start by having you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, Cliff. So my name's Ryan Anderson. I'm going on my third year back at the University of Central Missouri as the Assistant AD for Athletic Communications for the UCM Athletic Department, Mules and Jennies. I'm a proud University of Central Missouri graduate. I graduated in 2011 with my bachelor's degree in communications, and then I received my master's degree in sport management in 2013 from UCM. So that's kind of a bit about my education background. I got my first full-time job out of college, out of graduate school, actually, in 2013. I went up to North Dakota State for 5 years in Fargo, North Dakota, worked in athletic communications there. And then in 2018, I took a position at Wichita State University. I'm down in Wichita, Kansas, and I was there for 3 years. And then the opportunity to become the media relations manager at the time at the University of Central Missouri opened up in 2021. And so that's kind of how I got my start and kind of my background, my professional background. And as you alluded to, my dad's Kim Anderson, so a longtime college basketball coach, an NBA player. So, and then, yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my background.
Well, I think you got a great background for what you're doing. I think you're perfectly prepared, and I know you do a great job. You mentioned your dad. What was life like growing up as a kid for a really popular college coach?
Growing up, being the son of a college basketball coach, we did a lot of moving. I was actually born in Waco, Texas in 1989 when my dad was an assistant at Baylor. And then from there, he moved on to Columbia, Missouri, where he was an assistant at Missouri until 1999. Then we moved down to Dallas, Texas, because he worked for the Big 12 Conference for 3 years until 2002. And then in 2002, he got the chance to be the head basketball coach at the University of Central Missouri. I was there for 12 years, had an outstanding career at the University of Central Missouri, obviously capped off with a national title in 2013-14. And then obviously went back to Missouri as the head coach. And then I was at Pittsburgh State for 5 years before retiring. So life was fun. It's always fun being around my dad, my mom. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to say there weren't challenging times or anything like that, but in the end, it was a lot of fun seeing him succeed and seeing a lot of success and a lot of championships. I definitely think, especially his time at Central Missouri, winning his coaching UCM history, national title, several Final Fours. I definitely think it's something special when you're involved in college athletics. And also, you have a dad that was an outstanding basketball coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had to be a great ride. Several great rides, actually, I'm sure. So have you always loved sports?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously it's in my blood between my dad and my mom, my brother. We all love sports, in particular college sports. But obviously, growing up around basketball, I'm always kind of partial to college basketball. But being in my profession, I've learned a lot about a lot of different sports, and I've learned so many things about several different sports that I probably never would have learned had I not got into this profession. So it's made me appreciate a lot of the hard work that these student athletes and coaches put in to be successful and win championships. Like I said, this profession has taught me so much about all these sports, be it from football, volleyball, women's soccer, cross country, track and field, wrestling, you name it, baseball, golf. I could go on and on. It's definitely shined a light on how cool it is to be involved in college athletics. It's also fun watching the professional area of sports. Obviously, I'm a diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan and also a diehard Kansas City Royals fan. So that's something I've always enjoyed keeping up on, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, you make some great points there about all the things that people sometimes don't think about when they think about sports. Many times they're going to think about their favorite player or their favorite team or, oh, what a great play that was. But if you think about the bigger picture, and you mentioned it first, hard work. And hard work is really, for us, kind of a thread that runs through our podcast. It's amazing. We've had so many successful people on Outdrive, and all of them talk about hard work. There's no replacement for hard work. But, in addition to those, you've got teamwork, and some sports are individual sports. But even when they're an individual sport like golf or maybe gymnastics, they're still a team sport. They compete as teams. And so you have that bond with your teammates that you don't really get any other way. And then the other thing that comes to mind for me is sportsmanship and all the lessons that you learn in sports, winning, losing, being fair, being honest, being a good sport, really. And there's just so many great things. And I know when we talk to prospective employees, if they talk about being on or playing a team sport growing up or at the high school level, or for those few who are fortunate and talented enough to play athletics at the collegiate level, the sportsmanship and teamwork that they learn doing that, I think makes them a very well-rounded team player for a business like ours.
Oh, absolutely. No, Cliff, I completely agree with you. Being in athletics, it teaches you so many things beyond just playing a sport. Like you alluded to, it teaches you sportsmanship, it teaches you how to deal with challenging situations, and also it teaches you how to be responsible and it teaches you how to be accountable. And also that all leads to success on the playing field as well as off the playing field. And being a college athlete, it definitely helps somebody. It'll definitely help somebody down the road when it comes to having a job interview or looking into getting into a profession or potentially playing professionally. But yeah, college athletics, it teaches you so many valuable lessons that a lot of people don't think about. And that's one thing I do enjoy about being in this profession is getting to work with coaches and student athletes and being able to help them achieve their goals, not just on the field, but professionally and in life as well. So that's one of the most rewarding parts of the job is getting to see them go on and earn this great career, start this great career path. And they come back and they tell you about how awesome their life's been, how awesome their career's going. That's definitely something I always enjoy hearing.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Nothing replaces that sports experience. Well, I know at one
Absolutely.
point, I think you did some play-by-play and color on the radio, right? For high school
I
sports?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
So before I got into athletic communication slash media relations, I got my start in radio with Greg Casser at the time out of 1450 KOKO, 98 the bar. But anyways, so I originally started in, I want to say 2004 is when I began working for the local radio station here in Warrensburg. And I did some stuff with just some in-office stuff. I helped upkeep their radio station website. And then I got into doing some behind the scenes stuff like reporting the weather. And then I'd also do some board operating stuff for high school football, Warrensburg High School football at the time. And then I got into doing color commentary actually for Warrensburg High School boys basketball. So I would do color commentary for Warrensburg boys basketball games. And then I began my play by play career doing play play for Winsburg Tiger Girls, Lady Tiger Girls basketball. So that's kind of how I got my start in when it comes to athletics and as well as in the radio industry. And but something I enjoyed. I enjoyed doing radio, and also it was always kind of fun traveling to different high schools throughout the area, small towns, and getting to call high school basketball. So that's kind of the background and the little background of my play-by-play era.
Yeah. That's a good plug, by the way, for Hassler's radio station. I'm sure he's going to appreciate you dropping that in there. Radio is a great start for a lot of people. And for myself, going through college, when I was finishing up my college career, I really thought radio was where I wanted to go. And it turned out I didn't go there, but I've done a lot of radio over the years.
Mhm.
And I think that made the podcast experience now a little smoother transition from not doing a podcast to, and now we're up to over 200 episodes. But that experience of being in front of the mic kind of prepares you for where we're at today. But I know you kind of transitioned away from radio and more into the sports information role, which is probably more writing, I'm guessing. What drove that transition for you?
So I give a lot of credit to Joe Moore, who was the old sports information director at the time for Central Missouri. And he's actually now a communications professor for UCM. So I still work closely with him. But I definitely credit him for really introducing me to the sports information industry. I started out as just a volunteer. Actually, when I was in high school, I just volunteered and I would do what's called a stat caller for home basketball games. Basketball moves so fast that you've got somebody typing stats into a computer while the game's going on. So you have to have what's called a caller calling out the action on the floor while somebody inputs that into a computer. So that's kind of what I started out doing for Central Missouri and as a volunteer. And then I worked home football games as well. I would do what's called participation. It's basically tracking who is on the field when. So basically, if somebody comes in, you put a check mark next to their name and to say that they played. Because in football, not everybody logs statistics. Like offensive linemen, they don't typically log a ton of statistics. So you have to have a record of to make sure for in-state participation purposes to be sure that they played. So that's what I would do for football. And then I got into, I was a student assistant as an undergrad at Central Missouri. I did a little bit of office work. I'd help update record books and just a few other tasks and continued to work with football and home basketball games. And then I actually got into becoming a graduate assistant in 2011. So I served as a graduate assistant in media relations from 11 to 13. And that's when I actually, kind of dove headfirst into the athletic communications industry. So I started out as the graduate assistant in media relations, and I was given my primary sports were Jenny soccer, Mules wrestling, and then Jenny softball. So that's kind of those are the first three sports that I got my feet wet when it comes to really being a part of media relations. So I would be responsible for covering game days for all three of those sports, home events, keeping statistics, producing game previews, writing up recaps. That's kind of how I kind of got my foot in the door for athletic communications. Then obviously I took full-time roles at NDSU and Wichita State, and now I'm back at Central Missouri.
That was interesting the way you talked about some of the roles that you played behind the announcers, because I don't know if people really recognize that there's people back there helping them. And really, your job is to make them look good by giving them information that they can use sort of spontaneously as they call the game, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, a lot of my job is game prep and providing radio personalities and TV announcers, streaming announcers with interesting facts and content about Central Missouri's 17 sports. And I will say I'm very blessed to have a great assistant that works with me at UCM, and then also a graduate assistant. But it comes down to the three of us working together to produce interesting facts and being able to shine light on our outstanding athletic program. Bottom line, our job is to help promote University of Central Missouri athletics and to help each team be successful. I mean, a lot of that goes in being able to get out cool facts, something that the everyday person may not know or realize about a team.
You've mentioned the word statistics several times, or stats, maybe a couple of times. And that's such a big word in sports.
Mhm.
Does that come naturally to you?
I would say When it comes to basketball, yes, just because I've been around basketball my whole life. So I know so much about basketball. But in terms of other sports, I've had to learn a lot. Football was definitely a big learning curve for me. You don't realize just how many statistics football has, but in other sports as well. Track and field was also another sport that I didn't know a ton about. So when I got into communications, it was really interesting to learn just how everything in a track and field meet, all the times, the marks, the qualifying standards. It's cool to have learned so much. And that's one thing I enjoy most about the job is getting to dive into different data and kind of looking at trends. But I would say statistics, it for the most part came naturally to me. I'm just being involved in sports throughout my life.
Sure. So, what do you think makes somebody good at media relations?
I mean, you got to be a good communicator. First and foremost, you've got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to write well. Writing is a big part of my job, and you also have to be able to, deal with deadlines as well as different personalities when it comes to coaches and staff. So, and you have to be able to think on your toes. Not everything is going to be planned a week or a month in advance. Something could happen where you had minutes to prepare something. So you got to be flexible and you got to be able to take constructive criticism, and you also have to be able to be ready for anything that may happen. It's just something that, especially, at a game day, you never know what's going to happen at a game. So that's something you just kind of got to be on your toes, whether it be something to do with a technology issue or something happens on the field. That's something you just got to be prepared for. And you got to be able to, bottom line, stay cool, but also be a good communicator and put forth your best effort.
You talk and act like you really love your job.
Mhm.
Why?
Cliff, the main thing I really enjoy about this job is I love seeing coaches and student athletes achieve their goals. That's one of the most rewarding parts of my career is getting to see one of our teams lift a regional championship, conference championship, national championship trophy. Getting to see our student athletes win All American awards, win individual national titles, regional conference titles. Just being able to see them achieve their goals is something that never gets old to me about this job. And then also being able to be part of a team. UCM Athletics, we have a great team, coaches and staff. I work with a great bunch of individuals and getting to work alongside great people, great athletic staff. That's something I also enjoy. And so I think, and not every day is the same either. That's something that I enjoy. It can be challenging at times, but for the most part, it's an extremely rewarding career.
It seems like it'd be a career that moves really fast. Like just game to game, day to day, minute to minute, everything is moving fast. And I could see where that would be a big challenge, having to think fast on your feet, having to respond to whatever comes your way. Is that like the biggest challenge you face?
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely the most challenging aspect of the job is being able to deal with different situations that may arise. That's definitely, I would say, the most challenging part. And the other challenging part is, and something I'm going to be brutally honest about, is the time commitment and the hours you put in. There's a lot of time where I'm working weekends and I'm working nights. So it's definitely a challenge with a balanced life with work. But for the most part, it's an extremely rewarding career.
Sort of like being a coach, isn't
Yes, exactly.
it? Earlier on, you said that one of your roles being in media relations is to help teams be successful. And I know when you have a successful team, that attracts people. I think that's one of the things from a marketing aspect that it is good for a program. But how does UCM market their sports? How do they attract people to events? How do they attract students?
That's a great question. So we have a variety of methods. First and foremost, we definitely do a lot of advertising through different media outlets, radio, internet. Our website's big, ucmathletics.com. And we also work well with our university media relations staff, integrated marketing communications, University of Central Missouri. So they do a good job of spreading the word throughout the university. And then we're big on social media. Social media has become such a huge part in this day and age of marketing. We're on all social media platforms, X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So that's definitely a huge marketing tool for all of our teams as well as our overall department. We have 17 sports. Almost every sport has their own X account or Instagram account, Facebook page. So social media has been huge. And then also just community support, getting out into the community, having our athletes go out and do a lot of community involvement activities. I know every year for the first home football game, we usually host this big festival called Get the Red Out. It's a street fair. We have a lot of our student athletes and coaches and teams in conjunction with the university come out and be with the community of Warrensburg, and also market our home events, kind of tell them, hey, we got so many home events coming up this year. And then we also do a lot of community involvement. We have this community service project called the UCM Literacy Team. It's where our student athletes will actually go out and to Warrensburg elementary schools, and they'll read to the elementary kids. And that's definitely something that we've been really successful with. We actually won an award for it this year for NCAA Division II. But being able to, especially when you're a Division II team, obviously us being so close to Kansas City and with Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri, you're fighting a constant battle, but also market to the KC area as well as throughout the region. So that's definitely web marketing, radio, internet, and social media. I just think are definitely key when it comes to marketing our athletic programs.
You mentioned, I think, 17 sports, and every one of them have their own social media accounts. So, as the media relations person for pick a sport, girls golf, is the media relations person responsible for managing those accounts, or is there somebody on the team that does it, or the coach, or how's that work?
So that's a great question. So as an athletic communication staff, we oversee all those social media accounts, but our teams and coaches and like director of operations, they have access to them too. So we because obviously covering 17 sports is a very tough task. So we definitely do grant our coaches as well as our coaches access to those social media accounts as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, you happy to be back at UCM?
Oh, absolutely. It's great to be back. And it's great to be back in Warrensburg, my alma mater. It's a fantastic university, fantastic athletic department. So it's something I enjoy doing. I'm not going to lie, the hours get long sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's getting to see your teams win championships and be successful. It's something that never gets old.
Nothing better. So, you've grown up in a world of sports, you're living the world of sports. Think back about all those years. What are some of the most memorable moments?
Well, the one that immediately comes to mind, and I actually wasn't at UCM at the time, I was at North Dakota State, is my dad won the national title, NCAA Division II national title in 2013-14 out in Evansville. That's something I'll never forget, being at the game and then getting to see us cut down the nets and lift the national, UCM cut down the nets, lift the national title trophy. That's something that's always going to stick with me and be special to me, and by far the memory that I'm going to remember the most when it comes to being in college athletics. Now, in terms of events I'd been a part of, in 2017, I was at North Dakota State, and obviously their football program has been very, very successful at the FCS level. And I had an opportunity in 2017 to go work the FCS national championship game down in Frisco, Texas. And I'd been to an FCS title game. I was a spectator for NDSU, but this was my first opportunity that I actually got to work one. And it was just a cool experience. It was a great game. NDSU ended up winning. So that was a really cool experience. And then there's so many great moments, Cliff. I could go on and on, but I would definitely say the national title at UCM sticks out the most by far.
Certainly understandable. You mentioned the national championship with North Dakota State University, and you mentioned that you went and worked that game. Is there additional responsibilities? Are there more things that are happening that make that a bigger deal for a media relations person?
Oh, absolutely. So, at the Division I level, there's a lot more media presence. You're going to have more, at the time the game was on ESPN, I believe, but you're going to have more responsibilities when it comes to escorting student athletes to post-game press conferences, which is what I was in charge of. So I would take our head coach and our student athletes up after the game and after all the celebration, after we got in NDSU got the national title trophy. So I'd take all the players up to the interview room, and then I would help them make sure they get where they need to be, and then help with being sure that the press conference went well. I would provide information to the press conference moderator, who would then introduce them, and then the coach give an opening statement, and then they'd open up the floor to questions from the media. So that's definitely what I primarily did in 2017 for NDSU. And then also when it comes to social media, I did a lot with social media when it comes to cutting video and making fun tweets about the game during the game. And that's something I still do right now at Central Missouri. But definitely social media, and then also assisting with writing the post-game recap after the game was over for the website, and then something that we'd post to social media and then send out to media outlets. That was also something I assisted with.
So you were the guy that was dragging the athletes and the coaches around, getting them where they needed to be at the time. I got it. Got
That was the goal. Yeah.
it. So, as a communications person, there's so many cool things going on in our world. What are a couple that you see today that you think are just really effective?
I definitely think social media has been huge when it comes to marketing athletic teams, be it at the professional level or the college level, being able to give people kind of more of an inside look at what goes into preparation, kind of giving them an inside look at what goes on in a practice or post-game locker room celebrations after somebody wins a championship or, a big moment. I definitely think social media has been a great benefit to sports. And I'm not saying it's all positive because that's obviously not the case. But by and large part, I definitely think it's been huge. And then I definitely think the new world of streaming live events on the internet, I definitely think that's opened up a whole new possibility for a lot of teams. I know us at Central Missouri, we stream basically most of our home events when it comes to football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, volleyball. And so that's definitely opened up a ton of possibilities when it comes to being able to get your sports to a wider audience and being able to provide live video of events. And that exposure, obviously, in turn, should lead to more marketing possibilities and more success for the university's athletic department and university as a whole. So I definitely think those have definitely been some key tools when it's come to sports marketing.
As a business, how would a business or an organization tie into the athletics program? I mean, can you run advertising on the streaming platform or their sponsorships? How's all that fit together?
So yeah, there's always sponsorship opportunities for UCM athletics. And then obviously we do run commercials on the radio, on streaming as well. But there's always on our website, ucmathletics.com. And there's definitely numerous possibilities for sponsorship when it comes to Meals and Jenny's athletics.
Cool. So there you are, folks. Head over to the website if you're looking for an opportunity for sponsorships or want to get involved in advertising some Mules and Jenny sports. So you've done a great job today, Ryan, of talking about sports communications and athletics and media relations, weaving in social media and all the other different kind of advertising vehicles that we have at our disposal today. Our focus in our podcast is rural America, and that's where you and I both live, right? So when I say those words, what does rural America mean to you?
Cliff, yeah, it's a great question. Rural America to me just simply means just friendly, hardworking people, small town USA, and just friendly people and people that are fun to talk to. And it's a area I love to live. I enjoy living in rural America, Warrensburg. Obviously, my parents live in Sedalia. So this part of the country has a very special place in my heart. I'm Midwest born and bred. So that's kind of what comes to mind is just great people out there working hard and striving to do the best they can and just a great overall community.
Pretty good way of life, isn't it?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm very blessed and this is a great community and a great area of the country.
So I've enjoyed visiting with you today. Appreciate you being on Outdrive. What else would you like to share with our audience today that you think they might find interesting or maybe even inspiring?
Cliff, we did a great job covering everything. Mainly, I just want to thank you for having me on and for all you do. This is an outstanding podcast, and it's something I really enjoyed talking to you today. And like I said, I truly enjoy living in this part of the country and getting to be a guest of yours today. And like I said, I just really appreciate you having me on and also being a good friend. And that's something I really appreciate as well.
Thank you. It's been my privilege.
Absolutely.
Folks,
Well, thanks for having me.
you betcha. Thank you for being on, Ryan. Folks, thanks for listening to Outdrive. I hope you've enjoyed our visit today with Ryan Anderson, Assistant Athletic Director for Communications at the University of Central Missouri. Come back again next week, and I'm going to take you down the roads of rural America where it's heaven on earth.
Thanks for taking a ride with us on Outdrive. This episode is complete, so head on over to eCallis.com for more insight you can apply to help drive your business growth. And be sure to sign up for our free monthly e-letter, Outthink, for even more helpful content about marketing to rural America. Have a great day and keep on driving.